Welcome to VibeCheck, where we check the vibe of people in the theatre industry using our mutual love of music. To my left, once again, we have Big Ben Kwashi, artistic director of New Theatre, theatre maker, producer, director. Just needs a bit of Cantu in his hair, but he's all good, man. He's wavy.
Look, man,
He's
my
wavy.
hair's never been this long. I don't know what I'm
He's
doing.
wavy.
I'm just
He's
crazy.
wavy, man.
Nah, you man are brave, man. You're brave.
We've also got our regular co-host Aruna. If you ever had a conversation with him, he'll be sure to bring it up that he used to go to Chicago. He used to live in Chicago. That's something that you cannot avoid
Mad.
in any sort of conversation. So thank you. That's Aruna.
Are you just all right? Cool. So you're just saying there's no depth to me. That's what you're trying to say. That's
You find a way to shovel it into any conversation. So
okay. All right. And we're here with Kai Shaw, actor, rapper, and sometimes his breath stinks. I can't lie. And that's just.
That's how it is. And we're joined by a good friend of ours. This guy's been about for a while. You might recognize his face as that you from Attack the Block. But he's so much more than that.
What?
This guy's been in the critically acclaimed Fisherman recently at the Arcola. Has been working on some real great stuff in the film and TV industry. The CV goes on and on. Honestly, just check my man out. But it is, of course, Michael Ajao. Michael, how are you, bro?
I'm good, man.
Hey.
Inviting me in that.
I also forgot to mention this is Voicey's #1 star. So if you have Voicey,
Stop it. So if you have
no,
Voicey,
man.
go check out my thing. Underscore Michael Ajao. That's where it's at.
I'm waiting for the EP, man.
we're all waiting for the EP, cuz. Yeah, man. How are you? How's things?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, man. Lockdown. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
first time where we're all stuck at yard and works quiet, but we're still finding ways to be creative. Whether it's music, whether it's spoken word, whatever it is, it's just been cool, and it's cool to see people trying different things and like figuring out that a lot of people have hidden talents, out there. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, it's cool.
Sick. All right, let's hop straight into it. So we like to ask all of our guests what their most recently listened to song was. Yours was Woah by Snoah Aalegra.
Yeah, banger.
Personal favorite of mine as well. I love that
Yeah.
album to death.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got this through because I've been meaning to check out Snow for a minute and I haven't got around to it. So I listened to that and I have been late, clearly. This
You
is
know
a
where I heard her?
big
I heard
vibe.
her when I was in KFC one time, and I was literally about to, because obviously I was trying to go church quickly, grab a quick munch or whatever, because the service can be long sometimes. And yeah, I went KFC, tried to get like a little mini fillet, and then all I heard is I want you around. And it's not that I don't want you. Yeah, that song, yeah. I heard it and I was like, who is that? And obviously I'm in the line, but the song is just, her voice is just too soothing. 1 minute. Put my arm up like that Shazam thing. Not Shazam. Shazam is big. But yeah, man. Since then, tuned into her, watched her NPR music as well. Bang.
Ooh.
Banging.
I need to check these out, man.
No, it was real good.
Are you
Real
the
good.
type of person
Instrumentation
to?
especially as well, like it was calm.
It's just
A
a
tiny
proper
message.
cohesive song. Like the instrumental, the lyrics, the composure, all of it just marries together really well. Like it doesn't feel like it's coming from different sources like you get from some songs, right? This is being thought out, processed, and put together properly.
It makes you feel like, when you're in that honeymoon period with the missus and that, and you're like, well, you know what I mean? So when you hear her and that you just think of, oh yeah, remember that time that girl that I used to like, or vice versa. Do you get me? So it's just like a feel good song. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, man. One to bang in the shower for sure.
I'm not gonna lie to you. That album is my go-to shower album for a while, for a good couple of months.
I feel like I must be having different showers to you lot because I'm putting big vibe, big like up energy stuff. I'm trying to have a great day when I'm having my showers. I'm not on the slow down thing.
You know what it is, yeah? Because I don't know about you, man, but Kai, you've toured recently and stuff like that. Like when you wake up in the morning, you're in your digs with like your castmates and that. You're not trying to hear, in the morning and all of that song. So I'm one of them people I like to listen to something which is nice, soft, gets you in the mood. You know what I mean? So yeah, man.
Okay.
Wavy.
Let's see if that's soft. We've got the next song. So we're in the song selection segment where we send all of our guests 9 songs, and they answer the question with a song. And the first song we've got here is "Skankin' Sweet" by Chronixx. Now, I am notoriously bad at guessing which one of these is right. So I'm going to come out on the back and say this might be a song that reminds you of your last production, but at this point, I've got zero confidence in all my answers.
No, you're right. That does, man.
Oh, okay. I'll straight in.
Mad. You don't change his life. Wow.
Aruna, what would you have guessed? What would you have guessed?
Do you know what I was going to say? Theme tune, you know, because Chronixx is a vibe. Like, he's a vibe.
Aruna knows his music.
Yeah.
I obviously, Michael sent me the songs, but also sent me what question they were answering. So I'm not allowed to guess for the rest of this episode.
Oh, I didn't even know that was the game. I thought you just said.
Man. Nah, man, I put it in bold in the email, but that's okay. Sound good.
Sorry, bro.
All right, it'll give Ben a chance to catch up.
You know what it was? It was like me and deadlines, innit? I hate being late. It's 2 o'clock. I was on my laptop. I was like, what songs have I listened to? I was like,
Send it. Done.
Yeah.
So what is it about this song that reminds you of a production? What production is it?
It's my latest one, which hasn't come out yet, called Last Night in Soho, which is a psychological thriller horror which explores time travel. But yeah, man, when I was doing that, it was in summer, innit? And obviously my summer was lock up. You know what I mean? I ain't get to see no one because I was filming for quite some time. And yeah, around that time I was listening to, you know, Burna Boy just released these things.
Yeah.
And one of like the production coordinators was like, "Oh, you listen to Burna Boy? Do you listen to reggae?" And I was like, "Not really much, you know what I mean? I don't really listen to it as such." He's like, "What? You've never heard of Chronixx?" And this is a white guy, you know. This is a white guy. This is a white guy about music. And I was like, "Okay, let me see," because obviously music, you know, it's like a international language, innit? It gets it's like football, it gets people talking. So I was like, you know what? Let me give it a try. I slap it on, and I hear Chronixx. He's like, "Skankin', grooving, moving, I hear that, yeah, and I'm like, "Rah, Paul, you got taste, you know." And then ever since then, I was banging it. I was banging it in my dressing room. Like when the sun was out, it made me feel like summer came to me. Do you know what I mean? And just Chronixx in general, man. He's about having a good time, you know. And that song, you know, he's talking about, you know, when the bills and the rent and the mortgage due, and you know, he's like skanking sweet, and you just like, don't even think about that. We're just about to have a good time right now. Do you understand? And he's another artist that has a tiny desk, which I absolutely love.
His tiny desk is amazing.
He's Chronixx's tiny desk is just great, and yeah, man.
He jumped on the.
Yeah, after I heard about him, I was just in love with his music from then. You know what I mean? So yeah.
He jumped on Free National's Tiny Desk as well recently, their second one that just came out, and that song on their album is one of my big tunes at the moment. I'm spinning that consistently. It's just...
They're charismatic, Free Nationals as well. Very charismatic.
Kai, when did we see? We saw them with Anderson .Paak. Was it a Love Box or was it his own gig?
You guys actually saw
it was both because they came to both.
Yeah. The main, he's not a main guy because I don't have a main guy, but the guy on the piano, he was skanking all over the stage. He was doing the most. I love it. Yeah. He's doing the most, and I'm loving it every single time.
Yeah, man. I'm big in like the music that I like is I love production anyway, innit? I'm not really someone that, you know, I don't really get into the lyrics. Like some people, they love lyrics, but for me, it's about production. Do you understand? Yeah. So.
Are you listening to like more instrumentals more times, or are you just like, or is it just tracks that sound wavy?
My thing with production is like I love a journey in it, and I love like, you know, when I don't expect something to happen. Like it's like, have you ever listened to Did You See J Hus.
Yeah.
And you see the bit where it changes ever so slightly.
Yeah.
Right at the end.
That saves the song. Do you understand? Because it's like all my days, I never saw them to change the beat like that. You know, and big up J5. J5 is one of my, you know, he's proper big producer out there.
He's
But,
wavy.
you know, I love music like that, you know. So I listen to all types, Moonchild, you name it, man. Anything.
You got Moonchild,
big
yeah.
Big up Moonchild as well, you know. Yeah. So yeah, man.
It's great you were saying about J Hus, because that brings us to the next song, which is Triumph by J Hus. Aruna, what do you think this one was?
No, I feel like a waste man. This could have been a song that sums up your work.
I think it's a song that's helped you creatively.
You both wrong.
I was gonna say you both wrong.
Okay, what is it?
Theme tune, man.
Is it? Okay.
Do you know what? I wanted to say theme tune again, but I just didn't stick to my intuition. I don't know why I did that to myself.
Yeah,
because the theme tune, man, I was like, I remember when I heard the album, innit? And you know, when he goes, they only respect violence. Bad man moving in silence. Begs us from an alliance, but the real will always triumph. When I hear that, those bars, it's like, it's mad. That's the song for me, because it's just talking about, you know, like what people, the world, innit? What the world views as important. Do you understand? And for me, that's like my theme tune, because I've always been someone that works in silence, innit? I've always been someone that, you know, I just get on with it. That's how I view life. It's like, you know, there's only so much you can talk. There comes a time when you just need to get down and dirty and lock yourself away and do what you need to do. So for me, it's like it's a massive theme tune, because it's like perseverance, man. And I feel like everyone in life will go through moments where, you know, especially in art industry, where it's so like, if you're not working, are you really relevant? You know, you understand? No one really respects, you know, the hard graft of like writing when you're in the trenches by yourself, when the idea starts with you. Do you understand? So a song like that for me is like, you know, like, even when you think about J Hus, he was missing for time. Do you understand? He had his problems, and then he came back with an album and completely shelled it. Do you know what I mean? And I just feel like that sometimes for everyone, you know, you're only competing with yourself, because it's you against yourself in some circumstances, because you're the only person that's going to be able to finish and complete what you do in order to share it with the world. So it starts with you, and that's what that song means to me, you know.
It's so interesting with that. You against yourself. Have you ever found yourself coming against that barrier, and like, how do you get over it with yourself, essentially blocking your work?
Me against myself. It happens all the time, in terms of there's little things that I just feel like sometimes in your life, like when, you know, someone's told you can't do something, those psychological obstacles or psychological strongholds that you have to destroy within yourself, because, you know, you could get an opportunity and you're remembering what someone said to you when you were like 15, but you ain't that guy no more, and it stops you from, you know, achieving. It stops you from improving. It stops you from thinking that you can do something, you know, because I believe that anyone can, you know, I'm a real strong believer of hard work, innit? So like, sorry to go off topic, but Ronaldo's my guy, because we all know when Ronaldo came, it was, you know, you could see that he had it, but he wasn't altogether a perfect model. You understand? But the hard work and the graft has got him to one of the greatest players that's ever graced football. Do you understand? And I believe that, you know, within myself as exactly. So that's why I feel like you're always up against yourself. It's only yourself that's gonna be able to show people what you can really do. Do you understand? So
In terms of mindset, like, because something that I always attribute to your work is that I always see growth. For those who don't know, like myself and Ben and Michael were all in the same class at Brit School, way back when, and then like from then to I think the Convert was the first show I saw with you out, and then it was Bria Cotton, and then Fisherman. Like, I always saw like an elevation. So I feel like for me, like what kind of like tools and stuff do you use to like keep your mindset on a growth mindset? Do you know what I mean? To keep growing, to like keep pushing yourself.
I believe you're only better. You're only as good as your last job, innit?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I use to judge my growth. In terms of, okay, I've done this one. This one's finished now. How can I do something better than this, or how can I apply myself even further so that I can, become better at what I do, So the type of things I'll do is, I never take any opportunity for granted. We go again. Do you know what I mean? I also, seek counsel from other people as well. Do you understand? So I have people that, if I'm struggling with something, or if I'm not like quite, sure that this is the character, I'll go to someone else and be like, can you watch this for me? Do you know what I mean? And those things that you do will enable you to improve, because there's only so much that you can do by yourself. Do
Very true.
you understand? So
yeah.
I'm big on that. I'm big on getting help, and I'm big on getting opinions off of people that can help me, and people that I trust. So that motivates me. Also, what motivates me is my end goal of where I want to be. So I've got various like super objectives of like where I need to be. So that's a big reminder.
What are they,
Also,
if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah.
I want us to have more power, man. So that's to get into producing, really giving back and controlling the narrative, man. Because there's only so much that we can do. There comes a point where we have to be in charge of our own stories. Do you understand? And the only way to do that is if we, get behind the scenes and pass the baton on, for other people. So I'm a big advocate for helping other people and producing and getting new faces out there. Do you know what I mean? So that's big for me. Also, what motivates me is my family. Like when I was acting, when I did Attack the Block, my mum was still alive. Do you know what I mean? And that was huge for me. That was big, and she saw it, and she always used to like tell me little seeds, like you're gonna be amazing. Like what this means on your hand, like very spiritual like that. And I feel like I would have done her a disservice if I was just packed it in and said, you know what, let me not entertain, because she was always the one that at parties you'd be like, go and dance, man, go and dance. Do you know what I mean? Go and dance, if they're doing competitions, go get the money, like go, like you're gonna win. Do you know what I mean? So that self-belief that she had in me, like I think that's like the biggest anyone's ever had for me. So that motivation comes from my little angel upstairs. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
Amen.
That's beautiful.
Powerful. All right, last track for the song selection section was Sovereign God by Maurette Brown Clark. Boys, what do we reckon?
I'm saying this is a song that describes your career.
Ooh, a song that inspires you.
Arena's right. A song that
was my backup. That was my backup.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, man. As you guys might know about me, is that I'm very, very spiritual, Like that's another thing that inspires me that I forgot to say in the last question. But yeah, my relationship with God, man, is so strong because, like I said, when you're in the trenches and you're by yourself, God would just, you talk to God and you say, God, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. Like, and you're asking for favor, you're asking for all these things. And I just believe that song for me is like, just describes God's limitless power, how he can move mountains, when things look like, there ain't no way. And then you just get that email and it's like, oh, rah, like, I never saw that coming. And it's mad for me as well, because any moment where I felt like I'm about to give up, there's been something that's always happened where I don't know whether I'm on my estate or whether I'm walking around, I'll bump into someone that's seen my work. Do you know what I mean? And, I know that that's a spiritual gem from God to say that, look, man, you're doing well, man. Don't be too hard on yourself. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But someone will say like, oh yeah, I just like, for example, someone will be like on my estate, I just saw Attack the Block. And I'm like, bro, I did that 10 years ago. But you see the effect that it has on people. And that for me is that God, like, God speaking to me through another person sometimes. And that song, gospel, just in general, man, is a big part of me, and it helps me also access an emotional,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
I was
drive.
actually,
Yeah.
yeah, I was actually going to say, like, literally, to ask you that question of what does gospel music particularly do for you, not just in your career, but like in your personal life, because it does a lot for me as well personally. Like, there have been situations that I can remember very vividly after hearing a particular gospel song and then being like, right, okay, and then stuff started to happen, and I'm like, nah, this is mad.
It's mad.
Like,
Yeah. Because it feels like, I know that you probably experienced this kind in terms of, it just feels like a weight has been lifted off your shoulder, like an inner peace. Like, I remember when I was doing Brer Cotton, right? And if you saw that, Kai saw that play, I'd have to, there's this bit in the second act where my grandpa's just died, For me, like before, I used to use a lot of emotional recall with, things that's happened in my life. But just one night, it wasn't working. I was just like, it feels fake. It's not real, And, I just sat by myself for a moment, and I was like, what, let me just listen to some gospel. And in that moment, I just remembered it wasn't the sad things that I needed to draw from. It was the happy things. Do you understand? And I was drawing from, like my salvation, everything, man. My dad, how much he's been there for me. My brother, his growth. Like the list goes on. I was just going through so many things. And I swear that night where I came out after listening to that gospel song is like probably one of the best performances I've ever done. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I think
So
something so inherently comfortable in gospel music, because I'm not a religious person, but I consider myself to be spiritual in different elements. But gospel is something that, regardless of when I listen to, it has a sense of home and comfort and just safety. And my family aren't religious either. I think the closest to religion that is in my family is my uncle and my grandma are both Protestant, but it wasn't an active part of my life. But for that whole genre of music to still trigger those same emotions is something that's a testament to the beliefs it's founded on, but also the production of that music as well.
Exactly. And it's a thing where, praise and worship is like one of the first things that you come in contact with, whether you're in the faith or not in the faith. And, it's music, and yeah, man, it does something to your heart. And I don't believe you just have to be spiritual to connect to any form of music, because you're likely to have an opinion on it. But one thing I've always found from a lot of my friends who might not be in the faith and stuff is that they've always gone, wow, that was sick. You know what I mean? Do you get me? And that's enough. That's enough for me, sometimes, that's enough, because I'm just like, he felt something. Do you understand? So yeah, man, gospel is mad for me. It's a big one still.
Do you feel as though your work is like, because the first time I actually saw you was at Liberian Girl, Rocco?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that immersive, that was like, what? I can't remember what year that was in, but I was in
That's 2015.
Yeah, that's the first time
that was the year we finished Brit.
Yeah, that's the first time I saw you. That's the first time like I was actually inspired in terms of, there's actually like black men out there like me that are doing this. And that was spiritual for me. That was a very spiritual encounter in terms of the story you was telling and what that was all about. Do you remember what you was listening to at that time? Have you always been like...
Do you know what's mad? In that moment, when I did Liberian Girl, it was Afrobeats.
Wow.
It's mad.
Wow.
And everything was Afrobeats in that moment, because it was just like, I can't even remember who was popping back them times, but I think it was... No, do you know what it was? That year it was I think that was the first year J Hus came out. So that Afro pop type time. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of that is aggressive music. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I used to tap into. I used to tap into a lot of grime when I was doing Liberian Girl. A lot of grime. Like, it ain't safe on the black, not even for the cap. You know what I mean? Because you're a child soldier. You're a child soldier. You know what I mean? So you're about to come on, and like you have to move people. Do you know what I mean? And I had the director Matthew Dunster. Big up Matthew Dunster.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He was he pushed me, because that was one of the first jobs where I felt like I evolved as an actor. It was that leap from, you know, being, you know, in like GCSE BTEC type, you know, acting, to doing something like professional, which pushed you. Do you know what I mean? So bare habits that I had, like he knocked them out of me. Do you know what I mean? So that job is big, and a lot of Liberian girl castmates that I had as well. Yeah, they're friends for life, and they'd all agree that we were all listening to grime and Afrobeats back then.
That's so interesting that you say that, because I felt that, because I was at that period of time, I wasn't going to any drama school. People were telling me to go to Brit, but I stayed in Woolwich Poly sixth form. So I was like, I just trust my path. And seeing you where you were still saying miss, that's why I was like, what? Wait, how old is this guy? Like, how you saying miss to like one of our teachers? Like, you're still putting your hand up. That let me now know that you was in a place of you're elevated. You was evolving, and I could feel that in your performance. And that's something that I still remember the set. Like, I can still see it. Like,
Bless you, man.
Yeah, that's stuck. That's stuck. So I like hearing you talk about spirituality now and how that's grown with you makes me think about like how much of your career you see as spiritual, you know? How much of...
Yeah, because I believe that, you know, the characters that we play and stuff, like there's a percentage of it that is actually in us. Whether we're drawing from anger, whether we're drawing from sadness or happiness, that character that you're about to pour into is a small percentage of who you are. And you know, and sometimes it just takes you having to, because I remember that job being so like, that's probably one of the most research that I've done in terms of having an out of body experience, because anyone that knows me is like, I wouldn't hurt a fly. Do you know what I mean? I don't really like fighting or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? And these kids, they were rough.
Yeah.
So I do, you know, I do like pay homage to every single experience that I've had, and not just, you know, Liberian Girl, but other shows that I've done as well. Like, I feel like meeting people as well, they've introduced me to so much new music, because you know, there's a job that I did, Lord of the Flies, was probably the time where I fell in love with Leon Bridges, Gregory Porter, and that was the jazz moment in my life. Do you know what I mean? Where I was listening to so much jazz, you know, and like Nat King Cole and Tony Bennett. Like, I was finding out about all these different people. Do you understand? So it's so weird how music can just, it helps you track time. You know, if you're not a type of person that likes to take pictures a lot, do you know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah.
So like just to kind of bring it back to now, like what sort of music and stuff did you tap into for the last show you just did for Last Night in Soho? Because that's quite a dark show, isn't it? Like a dark kind of...
Yeah. So the show in itself has a lot of music from like the 50s.
Okay.
And you know, so Edgar Wright, who directed it, he sent me like a drive of so many different movies and stuff, and he sent me like stuff from like the 50s and all that type of stuff. And so I was listening to bits of that, but in my own trailer, I think I was getting into like Tom Misch a lot as well. I was getting into like Burna Boy, Chronixx, I think a bit of Moonchild as well. I was listening to Moonchild. So more like upfeely type song, because my character's he's a nice guy. I think he's a genuine nice guy. So there wasn't really any need to listen to music that didn't make me feel happy. Do you understand?
Nice.
Because I feel like my character is the life and the hope. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Well, interesting enough that you brought up Tom Misch, because that segues into the last song of the episode, which is where we, the presenters, pick a song for our listener, our guests, sorry, to listen to. And the song that we chose was Tom Misch and Yussef Day's Lift Off featuring Rocco Palladino. I picked the song. I'm a big fan of the album, and but there's something about this song for me that, like, I don't know what it is, but it feels like it's more raw than the other songs on the album. Like, there's something about the drum beat in it that just drives and drives and drives, and then it kind of eases off slightly, and then it's back, and it drives more aggressive than it was before, and it eases off again, and it's back like even more aggressive than it was before, until like right to the end of the track. And like, I don't know, there's something about the bass line as well that, like, it's funky, of course, but like there's something like
Mm.
dark and gritty about it. I don't know, like, and for
Songs.
me, yeah, like I'm still trying to work out what the image is.
It's
Like,
like the symbols, isn't it? Because there's a lot. The drummer uses a lot of symbols, and
Yeah.
the way he manipulates the symbols is like so kind of. It's like a controlled aggression. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
And that's what I feel. And even like the deepness of the bass as well. It's like it feels like if it was in a film or whatever, it could be in like I don't know, like a.
It's just
I'm
like
not sure if
otherworldly.
I'm not sure if you guys ever watched like Steven Seagal, like all his films back in the days. He was like a kung fu guy.
oh yeah,
Bruce Willis, like Lethal Weapon, that era
Oh.
of music. Do you know what I mean? Just before they're about to like defuse a bomb or something, they'll go like, do you know what I mean? Or about to find out some more information, you'd hear that type of nightclubby type vibe bass line. Do you know what I mean? Which is a little bit aggressive, you know?
It's just
Yeah, man.
otherworldly. Like I feel like this track is giving you like almost like snapshots of different planets. That if I was to visualize it, like there's so many different. Each element is almost attributed to a different environment. Like you can't. It's not something that's based in one place. Like I can't picture this being. Oh yeah, this is so obviously like I'm sat on top of a hill, and it's not that. It's you're jumping from place to place, and I think in this case that kind of what you're saying about the bass line and the darkness of the track. That's just kind of juxtaposed by the symbols and how they build, and like they just keep building and going, and they're coming and going, they're doing their own thing. There's completely different environments. It's almost like for me it's like being in a spaceship and you're jumping from planet to planet to planet to planet, and there's all these different environments. It's like a Star Trek thing.
Yeah, literally, man. It could be anything, you know. But I like Tom Misch anyway. Like he's one of my favorite songs of his is Movie. Do you know what I mean? You know, that's a banger. Even the little skit in the beginning, it's like that. He's just a quality musician and stuff like that. But yeah, man, he's very, very, very gifted musician and stuff. And like, it's kind of nice that he's one of our own. You know, he's from South London, innit?
Yeah.
Man. Big up Tom Misch.
Come on. Even on that, like just talking about English artists in general, like I think there's something musically that we're exploring that is so much deeper that we end up like when you start finding out the credits, like the production credits of people in America, like, and a lot of them are from London. There is something they're searching for that we have grown up in that takes things to a different place. And we are like, we are of the diaspora, so there's a lot that we share from many different cultures. And like, with this track, like as you were saying, Ben, like you're going to different places. It took me to a very introspective place. I was different shades of myself, like you was mentioning, Michael, as well, in terms of you look at characters and you see different parts of yourself, and a lot of that, even if it's dark, that can be your shadow side, if you like. How do you connect with that? How would you see yourself at that accord? Like that accord, that's what that song did for me. That song just put me at like, oh yeah, I understand that. I understand the way that feels. Okay, I'm accepting it because that's a part of me I'm accepting right now in terms of where that grittiness or where I've had that, or then the lighter parts, and then how that really dips and changes. It's life, you know?
But even as you was talking about like you like searching about some artists, and then you look at the production team and there's loads of guys from London that is part of the production. Look, man, London we set trends, man. With fashion, you know what I mean? With fashion or anything. Like, there's a reason why, the Beatles can travel all the way across the world and get that love and get treated like moguls. Do you understand?
Word.
And like even when you like listen to, I'm not sure if any of you have listened to Sir.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So when I went to go see him at Shepherd's Bush, the whole production team was English. Of his whole album, majority of his album, they were all English. Do you know what I mean? Wow. So it's like exactly what you're saying, Aruna, in terms of that our identity is timeless, because anywhere we go across the world, there is that, you know, there is that common ground that we'll be able to film music the same way, you know, big American stars can film music. Do you understand?
I think the most real quick, like the most recent example of that is the drill wave that's been happening in Brooklyn.
Pop Smoke, yeah,
Pop Smoke, 5 year, how you say his name, my man. Like all of the beats that they're using are like M1 beats. Do you know what I mean? And M1's from here, like M1's from here, and like the resurgence of that movement, like it kind of came out of nowhere. Like, and it was literally like they got like our beats late or something, and they were like, oh, I like that one, and then turned it into what it is now. And like, you're right, like there's something, like you said earlier in the discussion, like it's a universal language, isn't it, about music?
But that's the thing with London is we're not afraid to evolve.
True.
That's the thing. We're not afraid to evolve. We'll always find a new way of doing it. I feel like Americans used to be like that when they were tired of hearing, you know, computerize and all them type of them type of songs in it. They just wanted to, you know, scratch it up a little bit, and that's when you could see that, oh, bro, like these Americans are evolving. But since like hip hop and stuff, they haven't really, you know, like evolved. They're still either trying to make it sound new, by, you know, but they're not really kind of like evolving as such. Whereas when trap came, that was like a new sound and stuff like that. But just when you look at it, like actually, you know, take it in properly, I feel like the UK is faster in terms of how we churn the sound around, whether it's, you know, drill, whether it's Afro swing, Afro pop, something. Do you know what I mean? There's always changing.
I think there's always just so much less having to do self-discovery. Like I think that period you're talking about in America, the States were very much figuring out what their state or city sound was. Whereas I feel like we've never really had a period of that in this country. Like from it's either what kind of one unified thing, or you've got, it's quite distinct about what London sounds to Bristol, to Birmingham, to Manchester. Like they've got their own ecosystems and you don't have to set them up each time. Whereas I feel like in my because I've never been to the States, my view of it is that they went through that period of everything was American and then it was state based and now it's city based, and there's constant kind of having to, it's not even reinvention, it's just kind of self-discovery of what is this sound for this group of people, whereas we never seem to have that journey. It's just, okay, Gram's the thing. Cool, we're all doing Gram now. Oh, okay, drill's the thing. Oh, we're all doing drill now. Afro's the thing. Cool, we're all doing the thing. Like, it's not that thing of having to identify the difference from the other people.
Absolutely, man.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That was deep, man. That was deep. It's been a good heated discussion.
I do want to. You spoke about like evolution, and it made me think of Daniel Kaluuya and Queen and Swim. Wow, Queen and Swim. Mad. That was mad. But it makes me think about that because they've taken. Have you watched Glenn Gary Ross? Like that's a.
I know what thing to.
Say that again. The name of the thing.
Glenn Gary Ross.
Glenn
Gary Ross.
No, I never watched that before.
That's an American. That's I can't remember it off the top of my head. I can't even lie. It's been a while since I've watched that. But it's got some good actors. You can watch it on YouTube. That's David
Ajala?
No. This is more American. David. Oh no, I'm not gonna flop his name. But go check it out. Basically, in that it's like theater but film. And Queen and Slim is bringing that back, because when I'd watched that, I was like, is this theatre and film? Like, it's this theatrical pauses in the film. Like, the way the story is told is very theatrical. I was like, you can put that up on a stage and you can see how that works. Do you know what I mean? There's the rhythm and silence. And that made me think also we're evolving again. This is the next step. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so that's...
100.
Up, it was David Mamet who wrote.
That's it, David Mamet.
So I was like, no.
And even like Queen and Slim, man, I love the way they use music, man. It's like a music video. Do you know what I mean? Like the way it just like all just happened like continuous. Do you know what I mean? But yeah,
Who did
man.
the soundtrack for that? It's a musician ran the whole soundtrack for that, didn't he?
I can't remember.
Yeah, and even but you see how they evolved. They evolved a lot of fellas' music and used Burna Boy to evolve a lot of it, a lot of the songs. And I'm just that, like I know Burna, he grew up here for a bit, then went back to Nigeria. But you see, then like just a UK artist going, let me just recycle this one, and I feel like, yeah, we're always finding great ways to just be creative, man. Or find that difference. And like I say this again as well, in terms of who I believe is a sound right now. In terms of, I believe J Hus is a sound. I believe Octavian is a sound. You know what I mean? We have artists that it's just that when they sing, it's like it's a sound like you ain't never heard it before. However they mix their voices, you ain't heard it. And that's what I look for in artists. I always look for people who are distinct. Distinct voices. And yeah, man, yeah. Big up the UK, innit?
That
Very
is
influential city.
Yeah, man.
Always.
real.
Also, you know what? I give big ups where it's due. Like, shout out to the Birmingham lot and the Manchester lot because they have plugged.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, for real.
They've sent some people through in this scene that have actually done big things. Like Mist has been popping for a while. Bugsy.
Mist is a sound as well. Do you hear his voice?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Argue like people have been saying this here. Like I don't know if you lot have seen the Chip and Bugsy and the Chip and Young documentary that came out a while back. But people were saying that like arguably it was Bugsy that brought grime back because if he didn't send for Chip, like people are saying that like they don't know where the state of grime would have been. Which I think is a very interesting discussion. Do you know what I mean? Because there were a lot of Midlands lot that came back through, started plugging people, particularly in the grime scene that did rejuvenate a little bit, which I find really interesting. Is that it's not just a city, it's not just a London bred thing now. Like,
we thrive on the contest. Like everyone's challenging everyone to be the best, and I think that's what makes it thrive so well. Like you can't just sit back and be content with what you're doing because your neighbors are next door trying to do it better, and everyone's constantly who's on top. No one knows.
And also, like I feel like the best musicians out there aren't just one type of sound as well.
Word.
The people that I mentioned, like Huss, Octavian, they never do. When you listen to their stuff, it's not one type of sound. Even like Stormzy, to be honest, because when you listen to his album, he's jumping from genre to genre to genre to genre to genre, and I feel like in terms of like impact and having a long that longevity in a career, you need to be able to evolve. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise you're just gonna be like a record label artist that you just make songs for the sake of.
It's the same as theatre at the moment though, because obviously we're recording this in quarantine and live physical on stage theatre. It looks like it's gonna be a while off. So
Being like 2021 maybe.
Like I've been seeing you've been doing the Instagram plays. You did Pity and
DNA.
Being able to take the skill set you've got and adapt, like you're saying, adapt and evolve, and see how that can translate into a different format or medium, and push that. And that's what makes us better as individuals, but makes the industry better as a whole.
Real quick, what are your thoughts on that? Like in terms of how people have been using their creativity to generate content during this time period, like because obviously you've done a couple of the Instagram and like Zoom plays and stuff now. Like, what was your experience of that? And like, I don't know.
I like it, man. It's experimental theatre. Do you know what I mean? It's experimental because it's one thing us recording it and then hearing it back, and then some people are sounding like Terminator. You can't even hear their lines. But it's like I love it because it keeps us active. It keeps us creating characters, and a lot of the time it's cold reads. Do you know what I mean? We get a script like one or 2 days, and we don't know what anyone's gonna do. It's a cold read. And you just go with it, and it's either you go strong or wrong, or you make a big deal out of it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, I've just been loving the experimental feel of it. I've been loving how people have been doing the Shakespeare stuff as well.
Shout out to Elliot Barnes-Warren.
Yeah, man.
The quarantine Shakespeare is actually really cold. Like
exactly, and it's testing people to see like people are not realizing, but by recording yourself, you're kind of practicing, self direction. Being a director. There's it's challenging you to be more. This is what this quarantine is doing. It's challenging you to go, okay, as well as acting, what else can I delve into? And I quite like it. And people have been brushing up on self tapes, doing like old scripts and old plays and whatever. And it's just nice, man, to see that the industry will continue to move, and we always continue to find a way. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
Nice,
Lovely.
man. I think that's it. Thank you so much for coming to speak to us, Michael. Been a lovely conversation.
No worries, man. It was blessed.
Have you got anything you want to plug just before we sign out?
The main thing is, when Last Night in Soho comes out, I want everyone to just help us in that opening week.
Of course.
Go to the cinema, go see it, once, twice, bring your grandma, bring your auntie, just, you know what I mean?
Plan outing. Lovely.
Yeah, because, it's got actors from the 50s, new generation actors, the casting is mad. Do you know what I mean? So it'll be nice for everybody to come out and so support your guy, support your boy, man.
Get out there. Last Night in Soho. I'll be there.
Yeah, be there.
Right, thanks, Michael. I appreciate it, man.
No worries. What's gonna happen now? You're gonna end this.
Yep.
Wow. I can't change my energy, can't fake it. When I'm with you, I feel I can fly. Fly. And if this goes and we fall into a stasis, not rugby, you won't tackle my pride. Fat pride. Wow, pride. Wow, pride. Wow. Let's go.